I'd like to call to order the September 7, 2022 Council Committee of the Whole meeting. Would you kindly rise for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, under subcommittees, infrastructure, Vice President Lebedinsky.
We had a meeting, nothing really, is in your packet, the infrastructure ones.
Okay. And next is transportation. No meeting this month.
No meeting.
Efficient methods, Councilor Lebedinsky.
One of the things we were looking into doing was looking into changing our direction in getting communications developed. The other thing that we were doing is we have a new program that is going to set up the information system where we track complaints and issues. That was the focus of what we were talking about last month. Just a general overview is basically it's going to be a call-in complaint or online complaint resolution system. Otherwise, it would be just as normal, but we're trying to promote more of the online using. I know that we have beta tested this already, so is this ready to launch yet?
Yeah, so we've tested it internally with some of our employees, and I do have a date now. So on October 5th, we'll be unveiling the beta version to the public for the public-facing side. And at this point, we're going to keep it limited to the trash concerns. And residents can submit concerns online regarding residential trash service. Process will make it more efficient through automation, and that depending on the circumstances, it'll immediately get forward to the appropriate departments and or the trash hauler in an effort to ensure quicker response. So once we work through that beta test, we'll be rolling out this platform to include other concerns such as potholes, street lights, and things of that nature. And then the system can immediately create a work order that'll be directed to the appropriate department so it can be addressed.
Okay.
Thank you, Joseph.
Very good, thanks. Ordinance review, Councilor Proskal.
There was not a meeting. I think our next scheduled meeting is for October.
Right. Economic development, Ms. Lee Clark.
Let me see here.
Good evening. So we're just going to wait for some pictures of the wonderful weekend that we just experienced here in the borough.
Where are they? Oh, do you have them here?
Yeah.
Right here. Are they in a file? Here we go.
Yes.
There we go. Sorry about that.
It's okay. So I was able to come into town on Sunday, and there were a lot of people here, and I heard a lot of great feedback over the car show that happened on Saturday. Thanks to Jamie Orr for really bringing this opportunity for having lots of visitors, and the businesses that were open were extremely busy, and we had a way to really show off how you could set up a shop in some of our empty storefronts. So it was great. Jamie put on an I Pick Pottstown shirt to be able to broadcast. He was interviewed at that moment about the bus that is being sent to Ukraine to support school children in Ukraine. So that should be on its way. I believe it shipped out yesterday. So these are just some photos, Justin, if you can roll through them, just to show you the crowd and how great it was here, going on here.
Sure.
So these are some individuals. I did get to visit with each one of the people that had a pop-up. They were extremely complimentary about their time here in Pottstown and can't wait to come back. So these are people that were very interested. They came from all over the country. Next picture, please. This group was the two on the left. The two individuals on the left were from Phoenix, and the two individuals on the right were from Fresno, California. And they were thrilled and thought Pottstown was just the greatest place. I also heard some great reviews on Argento's food. I said, oh, what kind of food did you have? They said, we've had everything, and it was all delicious. So, next. This is some drone footage that was taken, and you can see this is towards 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but you can still see that it's extremely busy show. So just wanted to highlight those things. It was an extremely successful weekend, and I think we gained some new friends from around the United States. This Friday is Fête en Blanc, 750 people. We are sold out. We look forward to seeing most of you at the event. Wristlets can be picked up tomorrow between 4 and 6. It will help you. We're not doing tickets this year. We're doing the wristlets for admission. 5:45 is when the entrance will open. High Street will be closed between 4 and 10. So just wanted to give those updates. That's really all I have for my report this month.
Okay.
Some positive, and I will go right into Land Bank if you don't
Yes,
mind.
please.
Okay, so the Land Bank did purchase 3 properties at the recent judicial sale, the county judicial sale. All properties were successfully secured: 421 Hale Street, 208 Gable Street, and 439 Chestnut Street. At the Land Bank meeting, the 3 properties were conveyed, and agreements of sale are being worked out. 421 Hale Street and 439 Chestnut Street is being conveyed to Hive Properties, and 208 Gable is being conveyed to Luke Johnson Construction.
Wonderful.
Okay,
Thank you.
that is my report.
Okay, Emergency Services, Chief Hand.
Hello, everyone. I don't really have a fire report for this month. We'll have it for next month, but in between meetings here, Fire Prevention Week shows up. So I just want to let everyone know that that's going to be October 9th through the 15th. You'll see the fire department out there doing things. We have smoke detectors, as always, for people. The one thing I wish Councilor Lindsay was here was we're still having we don't know what the school district's going to let us do this year or not. So last year we had to do it outside, which worked out pretty good, but we did have a rain day. So we're just waiting for that. That's all I have for this month.
Okay, thank you. Human Resources, Ms. Levengood.
Good evening, councilors, council president, and Madam Mayor. National Hispanic Heritage Month is from September the 15th to October the 15th. This is a time to celebrate the history, culture, and contributions of Hispanic Americans. Specifically, those ancestors came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, Central, and South America. In Pottstown, CCLU will be holding its annual Latin Festival on Saturday, September the 13th. From 2 to 6 p.m., and that'll be down at Riverfront Park. So we encourage the public to attend this free event. And also the Commission's next meeting will be held on Tuesday, September the 13th at 6 o'clock in council chambers, and all are welcome to attend.
Great. We'll see you there. Library, Ms. Lipsky.
Good evening, everyone. I have just a short report. I have a larger report that I didn't get to the commissioners yet, but I'm going to start sending a monthly report to the commissioners just so they get a full idea of what the library is doing because we have a lot going on. But for tonight, I'm going to highlight a couple of our upcoming events. We have on Saturday, September 17th, we have a community health and wellness festival. We have over 13 organizations that are joining us, and that will be at the library from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on September 17th. So we encourage all of the community to come. We also have a Library Lovers Tea that is going to be held at the Three Daughters Inn on September 24th. It starts at 3 p.m. This is a ticketed event. You can purchase tickets at the library or on our website. And then we will be having two other events. One major one is going to be coming October 28th. We are going to have a paranormal investigator come to the library. So we will have ticketed times for that, as well as on December 1st, we have a brass band and cookie walk where the community can come and collect whatever cookies they enjoy and listen to a brass band. We are interested in participating in any and all community events. So if any of the community organizations have events that they need people to be at, we are more than happy to participate in everything. We want to really get the library out to the community. And that's all I have for tonight. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Pottstown School District, Counselor Lindsay's not here, and we'll hold that for Monday. Ricketts Center, Counselor Kirkland, anything to add to the written report?
The summer programs ended August 11th. And the after-school programs picked up on August 22nd. So that's what's going on, after-school programs.
Okay.
There's very good attendance for that.
Great, thanks. Mayor's report. Mayor Hendrick.
Good evening. What is September now? August was super busy. Sorry. We did our 1-year dedication to the Free Little Library. That's on North Warren Street around 451. I did the ribbon cutting there a year ago, and we honored the Robinson Gant family, and it was a nice turnout. And actually, if you haven't been to that little free library, it's a very peaceful site, and it's kind of right on, like, above where the explosion happened, and that's where I went that night to just take a breath. And it's a nice healing little area right there. So it's all are welcome. Feel free to stop by and grab a book or give a book. North End Swim Club hosted a Stop the Gun Violence event in the evening. The kids were super excited. Everybody was in the pool. I saw Council and Joe Cerisi there. We also had a Stop the Gun Violence initiative end of the summer party for the kids at the Fountain of Youth Spray Park. We did a raffle for the kids, and we were able to donate 4 bikes, a tricycle, a ukulele, a PlayStation with like 10 to 15 games, Disney watches, and a foosball table. So the kids were really excited, and it was well attended for their first event. I wanted to thank the Alley for hosting the Montgomery County Bar Association. There was colleagues of mine that came all the way out from Bluebell who said we'll never travel this far, and they had a great time, and I think needed some help getting home. So can't wait till those hotels open up. But thank you. They loved it here, and they're definitely going to come back and bring their friends from Lansdale and Norristown. And we also did a block cleanup with PCA, and they cleaned up the block of King and Adams Street. I'd like to thank the Johnson family for their Third Ward block party. I saw a lot of council there. It was nice. It was quiet this year, but lots of fun. I also want to thank Ron Reichel. I don't know if you know Ron Reichel. I'm sure you all know Ron Reichel. Ron Reichel is like the butterfly man in Pottstown. And unfortunately, Ron has not been doing well. He's ill. And he gives amazing butterfly tours. And he tracks monarch butterflies all the way to Mexico. He gave me a private tour a couple weeks ago, and we got to catch, tag, and release monarch butterflies, which was just super, super cool. And that he has everything like spread out to show the kids, like here's how it starts with a caterpillar, and he shows you where his plants are in his yard. And he's attracted over and raised over 87 species, I believe, this summer. So it was pretty excited, and he gets really excited about it. So if you get a chance, go see Ron Reichel. We had the Montgomery County Community Day Challenger Center exhibit grand opening. If you have not been, it is in the building by Riverfront Park, upstairs. It is so cool. I felt like I was at Disneyland in like one of those like interactive rides. You're in this room, you can like talk to like Spacecom, they set you up in teams. The kids were like running around, all excited, asking questions. It's just a wonderful, wonderful exhibit. I'm so glad that we're able to bring that here, because kids don't have much to do in the way of interaction and education here. So, and we also will be looking into transportation. We may have a funding or a grant for transportation for the kids in the neighborhood and schools to come to the Challenger Center. I want to thank Josh Park and Judy Memberg of Genesis Housing. They came with me last weekend, and we met with the 8 displaced families from the explosion. I would respectfully request again that a statement from the borough be made even privately to those 8 families. Unfortunately, when there are no answers, and I know we have no answers, all they want to hear is that we're working on it. So I will make a statement that I am definitely working on it, and I know that ATF and our police department and everyone is working on this investigation. It is a lengthy process. Please don't believe all the stuff that you hear on social media of what this is. We don't have aliens in the borough, and this was not an assassination. I can tell you that. But we are working on it, and I met a lot of these families. Some are back in their homes, some are rebuilding. The young lady who is in a wheelchair, Josh Park and team are building her a ramp for her wheelchair because they've been carrying her up and down. I was able to secure what is that called? Catnaps? Trap and release organization in Pottstown. One of the houses had 10 cats that still live in the house. Unfortunately, the family can't live there. So we are going to trap and neuter and spay all of those cats and then release them for the family. We also were able to secure them a rental, and we are having a healing event. I'll just skip over that, tomorrow at the Y, which I will mention later, sorry. And from that conversation, I'm sorry, with the families, we were able to piece together what still needs to be done so I can talk to the contractors and the labor union. We were able to make another distribution from the fund for one of the individuals who lost hearing in both ears and now needs to be retrofitted with hearing aids. So we were able to pay for that. I was honored to be a part of Lena and Clara's baptism at Riverfront Park. Lisa was there. It was wonderful. It was led by Pastor Nicole Jackson and husband, Zach. It was beautiful. And then at the Ricketts Center the other night, Trina joined me. Razul and Sharon are doing a program for youth, like 10 to 14-year-olds, to talk to them about the effects of drugs and gun violence. So I kind of sat in the back with Trinita to just listen to what these kids had to say. And it was eye-opening. I'm glad that these individuals are taking it upon themselves to give back to the community, a community that, you know, they were once troubled youth. And after the meeting, I walked some of those kids home and was pleasantly surprised at how polite they were. I had a 10-year-old boy call me to make sure I got to my car okay. So very nice. And one of the boys that was there was also, I saw him the next day. He was working in the farmer's market at his grandmother's shop. So I think that these individuals are having some effect on these kids, hopefully. I went to the car show on Saturday. Sorry, I missed you. It was so packed, so many people. I was like, I maybe saw 15 people I knew, which is a rarity when I walk around Pottstown because, you know, we're all friends. So people were from all over. It was really, really exciting. And the bands that came out were from Maine and were really cool. And there was a girl that she was the most kick-butt woman I've ever seen up on stage. She was singing and playing the drums. All right, coming up tomorrow morning, I will be speaking at the Tri-County Leadership class. Tomorrow evening, and I want to read this, we're having a mental health healing event at the Y from 6 to 8. It's at the YMCA complex, which is on North Adams Street. The Keystone Crisis Intervention Team from Montgomery County will be there, Creative Health and Access Services. We are inviting the community members and any neighbors, friends, or family who've been impacted by the May 26th explosion and the tragic loss of life to come together with the Keystone Crisis Intervention Team. So it's going to be a night of support, community, and connection. Again, it's tomorrow at 6 o'clock. And there will be people on staff, experienced in traumatic events and trained as well in PTSD. I also signed up for the Citizens Leadership Academy. I know it's been 5 years, but we had COVID, so I'm excited. Michael Pauls took it like 6 times. Lisa took it 6 times, so 3 times. Okay. So I've heard so many good things about it. So I will be doing that next week. I believe it starts. And 9/17, we have the Latin Festival at Riverfront Park from 2 to 6. And that concludes my report.
Good, thank you. Mr. Keller, manager's report.
All right, thank you, and good evening, everyone. So we've now finalized the agreement of sale for 707 Hamilton Street to Genesis Housing via the land bank. It's now ready for my signature. As soon as I get a project completion date from the contractor, I'll be able to sign that over. And then once it's signed, it'll have to go back to the land bank for final approval at their October meeting. The contractor does expect to start work on the project in the next 2 weeks, and borough staff has already completed the work to run a new sewer line to the property. Another project that we have going on is the arch repair work at 42 Walnut, where there was a collapse. That work began last week. I think the rain this week has stunted the progress a little bit, but as of the end of the week last week, installation of some of the concrete benching to form the foundation of the new aluminum arch is underway. Speaking of the budget, that time of the year is here, and we have deadlines for directors to submit their budgets by September 9th. We'll be reviewing the initial draft of the full budget with the Finance Committee at the end of September, and then with council at their October meetings. Also, an update, the zoning officer has withdrawn the zoning violation notices issued previously to the churches located on the 300 and 400 blocks of High Street. We've had very productive meetings with both churches to better understand the issues from all sides. And we certainly appreciate their professionalism and their cordial conduct through both of those meetings. We expect to continue an ongoing dialogue with both churches because we are making some constructive progress. I mentioned the work on our public-facing side of the citizen concerns. That will be live, beta tested on October 5th. And I do have some grant updates to pass along. So unfortunately, the multi-million-dollar RAISE grant application for the extension of Keystone Boulevard was not awarded. However, we will continue to apply for that under future grant rounds for that program, as well as other programs that might become available in the future as well. Just looking at it, it appears that a majority of the funding went to the city of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh as far as the funding that got allocated to Pennsylvania. And just as a reminder, we still have an outstanding federal budget appropriations request for this project through Madeline Dean's office in the amount of $3 million that we expect to hear back in the coming months. So we've still got a lot of irons in the fire there, so to speak, and hopefully there'll be some good news there. Also, some good news is that we're awarded the full requested amount for Chestnut and South Street Parks through the DCNR C2P2 program. So we're very happy about that. And then additionally, DCNR opened up a second grant round, which is pretty rare for them to do. That opens in the fall, and we'll be eligible to seek funding from this round for the same project as a phase 2. So we might be able to secure funding for phase 1 and 2 of that project if we're successful in the second round. And that concludes my report.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. Next, we're going to have a presentation requesting zoning relief from Beacon of Hope. Your attorney's here. And as a preview to this, Mr. Hobie, would you explain the process and what is to this?
Yes, thank you, President Wien. Next up is a presentation from Pottstown Beacon of Hope. Beacon of Hope seeks to operate a homeless shelter at 601 and 619 West High Street, which is located in the Gateway West District. In furtherance of that goal, Beacon of Hope has filed a zoning application with the borough seeking various forms of relief. With respect to council, the zoning application seeks conditional use approval pursuant to section 334.3 of the zoning ordinance as a use of the same general character as those listed in that section of the ordinance with the same or lesser impact on the community as determined by council. With respect to that form of relief, council will serve in a quasi-judicial role. As far as the other relief that's being sought that will be addressed before the zoning hearing board, the applicant has filed a challenge to the zoning ordinance for not allowing a homeless shelter within the borough, for special exception approval as a rooming house, and for a variance. This relief is scheduled for a hearing in front of the zoning hearing board on Wednesday, September 28th, 2022 at 7 p.m. With respect to the proceedings before the zoning hearing board, council will have the opportunity, if it wishes, to participate as a party. As a party to a zoning proceeding, you'd have the opportunity to present evidence and testimony, cross-examine witnesses, and also appeal any decision and participate in that. As far as the timing for the conditional use, the applicant has granted the borough an indefinite extension with the intent that the zoning hearing board proceedings will be addressed before you're put in a position to consider the conditional use application. For the benefit of the public, I just want to let everyone know that because council could be in a position both to participate in the zoning hearing board proceedings and presiding over the conditional use hearing application, I've instructed them to limit any type of discussion or commentary during tonight's presentation. but have encouraged them to, ask questions and really use this as an opportunity to learn more about the application and what's being proposed. So unless there's any questions, I'll turn it over to Attorney Eric Fry, who can introduce his team.
Good evening. Again, Eric Fry, DeShell Bartle Dooley, right here in King Street, here for the applicant. Also have Tom Nyros, the Executive Director, and Mark Borst, the Vice President of our board here to answer questions once we get through a brief presentation here for you. The solicitor went through most of my presentation already. He presented a lot of it. Thank you for that. But just to get into a little more details, you can see on the screens in front of you, essentially, we have the two properties, 601 and 619 West High Street. That's at the northwest corner of West High and Glasgow. Kind of point to it. There's a little parcel down at the corner and then a larger parcel right up from it. We are here tonight to ask for your support of our zoning application, which we'll present later this month. We hope that we can get that support so that we can then withdraw the conditional use application. What we're asking for essentially is a homeless shelter for 45 guests. Will be housed in a 12,000, slightly over 12,000 square foot building that will contain sleeping quarters, flex office space, a meeting hall, and then parking areas as required by your code. The flex office space will be used by our organization and also by outside providers who will come and provide services for our guests. And then the meeting hall will be used for any group meetings and or dining hall for the guests as well. The relief we've requested, and it's really, we've requested several forms of relief because you do not have a homeless shelter use by those terms in your zoning ordinance. We've asked for a special exception for a rooming house. It's essentially what we are. We are rooming these guests for an unlimited amount of time. And it's a special exception. In that special exception, however, I believe your definition of rooming house does not allow meals to be served. So combined with that, we'd ask for a variance to allow us to be the rooming house plus serve meals to our guests. If you don't like that relief, we simply ask for a variance to allow the homeless shelter use as we'll describe. And if you have questions about the use, obviously we have these gentlemen here that can answer any of those specific questions for you. And then thirdly, we've challenged your ordinance in that the homeless shelter does not exist, and we think that there is a legal obligation that you provide that use in your zoning ordinance, and it doesn't exist. In a nutshell, we are a nonprofit organization seeking to address homelessness in the borough. It is something that exists today, and it's not going away. Our statistics actually show that it's gotten worse over the last several years, and it will continue to get worse in the area. The question really for the borough to answer for itself is, does it want to ignore the problem, or does it want to allow us to provide this building, this service to these individuals, to give them a leg up and give them a chance to find that stable home that they're looking for. The big thing that we do, we just don't provide the shelter. We bring in services, we give them guidance and teach them both how to handle their own selves and also how to get back on their feet to find that stable home in the community. We've had success in this area, and we've actually placed, I forget the number, and I'm sure you'll correct me, but I know it's around 20 or more families and or individuals that, for people who were homeless, we've placed them in stable housing over the past year. And so that's really what we're looking for, is address the existing homelessness that occurs in Pottstown, try and attack it head on, and help these people get back on their feet. And then we're here to answer any questions you might have.
Counselors?
You guys want to present?
Oh, anything else? Nope, just here to answer questions.
Yeah, just questions, yep.
I have a question. why are you pushing so hard to have this in Pottstown? Where there's other places that are specifically zoned for it, and they're not being talked to or approached, but we are.
Do you want me to answer in the mic or right here?
There's a microphone there. Yeah,
So we're good?
you're okay.
So the answer to that is we found over the past 2.5 years that we've been doing this over the winter and fall, is that when people are offered shelter outside of their community, outside of their doctors, outside of their church, outside of where they get meals, and their family and friends, that about 25 to 30% of people will go. And that's to the Chalk in Norristown. So about 25 to 30% of people whose name comes up for a bed down there will go out of all that are offered. So what we found and what we think is necessary is to keep people in their community and provide them services in the community, from the community, so that they can remain in the community afterwards as well. And again, Eric touched on this a little bit, but we would only be providing services for Pottstown residents experiencing homelessness. We would not be opening the doors to the county or to neighboring cities or townships. The goal would be to, in 3 to 5 years, take this to neighboring townships, prove the model, and then help them build something in their backyard.
If I could ask a question, where do you think it is zoned for this use?
Is it the Pottsgroves?
No, okay, Pottstown is part of the Greater Pottstown Regional Planning Group. And we joined years ago and also put up a zoning map, if you will, for all 8 townships in the borough. That portion of zoning which allows homeless shelters rested with North Coventry Township. Now, pardon?
And East Coventry.
And East Coventry.
Did you guys receive the homeless task force proposal?
Yeah.
You did? Okay. So it outlines in there a couple of things
Yeah.
that we found difficult.
So if your guests want to be close to town, about 200 yards south on Hanover Street, it would be perfectly legal for you to build this and run this. Would be close, convenient. And I know some people talked about transportation. I think you, Tom, said you have access to vans. Would actually put them closer to High and Hanover than being all the way out of Glasgow Street. So have you pursued that at all? Have you looked at the Coventrys?
Oh, yes, we have.
And what's the objection there?
That they don't want it there either.
But they're zoned for it.
Right, so that's not my battle, I'm not sure. But one of the main
And again,
difficulties we have.
we disagree that it is, so we'll address that when we get to the hearing, so.
Okay.
But one of the difficulties we have with that is providing the services to the guests. If we go across the river, that's a different county. That's a big issue.
Does that matter what you would offer them?
Yes, it does. It matters what's available to them and how that would get to them.
It completely changes who provides a service from the service provider world. The services that we would bring in to help people, mental health services, substance abuse services, even housing services.
And Chester County's deficit in that?
So if I'm a Pottstown resident and my insurance is in Montgomery County, I can't cross into Chester County and get the services. So, yeah, like it's county specific. So if we're serving a county resident, we need to serve them in the county.
So one thing that I'm curious about for information purposes, how do you establish residency for someone who's homeless? Because generally it's tied to where they live. What's the process for determining that, verifying that?
So last year at the Warming Center, we tried a few different things. What we were able to do is require some sort of documentation, either from doctor, from benefits, so EBT or Social Security benefits. Everything is linked to an address. It's their most recent address, majority of the time, or even ID. And we require that they have something dated at least 3 months prior. We can change that, we can adjust that, we can continue to adapt it to make sure that we're doing everything we can to ensure that we are only serving Pottstown residents. And yes, one or two might get through that are not original Pottstonians, but we are certainly, it's a big difference than just opening the door and allowing anybody to come in who needs a place to stay.
I understand that you received a grant for the county.
Yes, we
You know, Carrie, what the amount was, and then what other forms of revenue are you looking to, you know, get this thing running and keep it running for an extended amount of time?
So we received a $1.3 million grant. We asked for 2.4, we got 1.3, and that is specifically for the purchase of the property and building of the structure. In order to keep it operational, we do have several private donors and anonymous donors that are very supportive and ensuring that this goes forward, as well as our own donor base that we have grown around 400% biannually for the last year and a half.
1.3, that's a chunk of change.
Yeah.
I'm also just out of curiosity, I mean, this is not the first time you proposed something of this nature, and usually my concern is, you know, what the effect it will have on the, you know, the neighborhood and the residences around it. This is, you know, considerably different than what you proposed before, you know, for the better. But have you received any feedback from the businesses or the residents that live there yet, by any chance, or even reached out to them?
Well, thank you for that compliment first. And no, we have not reached out to them yet. We wanted to do this, make it public here, and then we do plan to go around to the neighbors, to the businesses, and meet with them one-on-one. And as well as going into West Pottsgrove and explaining to them what we plan to do.
How do you plan to operate this facility? Is it an open facility, or is it structured? Is there times? Is there, you know, how's it going to be run?
Sure. So overall, it would be 24 hours a day, all year round. As far as the specifics, there'd be an intake process. There'd be individualized plans for people when they come in. They would have to follow those care plans with their case manager, make sure that they're receiving the services that would best benefit them. And they would be there until we were able to get them housed, or they remove themselves from the program.
Okay, so are they free to come and go? Is there a structured time where they got to be there at night, or, I mean, just, you know, are you serving food at certain times, or,
Yeah.
I mean, breakfast, lunch, and dinner at certain times? You know, just how's it structured? How's like a typical day?
So there would be meals served at regular times throughout each day. But again, it would be individualized, the care, to make sure that that person had the most opportunity for success.
Okay, so this is like just a place for them to stay. They're free to come and go as they please. Just a place for them to stay.
No.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get at. I'm trying to.
So as far as the services that would be provided and be brought in, they would be outlined by a case manager upon intake.
Okay.
And decided what was best for that person. That person would agree to that, and they would have to make those appointments, make those meetings, make those doctor's appointments, make sure that they're taking their medication, whatever it may be. But it's a very broad spectrum of what each person would need. So it's hard to nail that down, but it's not free to come and go as you please. There are rules in place and structured program planning.
Okay, so typically, a typical day, a person can, you know, wake up in the morning, you know, get breakfast, right? If they have meetings with their council or whatever, they can do that here at the facility, correct?
Yes.
Then they can just, you know, just go out and just do what they want, just go out. You
If they had
know,
nothing else to do?
yeah, if it, you know,
Yeah, if they had nothing
Yeah,
else to do, but most likely they would have something to do. They'd be encouraged. Part of their plan would be to get a job, volunteer for us, for the community.
Okay.
If we scroll down to the bottom, to the next picture there, this is a conceptual drawing only, but there's 6 flex offices there, and that's where the services would be able to come in, meet with individuals, and provide groups and things like that.
okay,
But again, the goal would be extremely individualized care to
Right.
set people up for the best success.
okay, so it's still like a open facility, where the person, the person is not confined or anything.
No, not at all.
You know, yeah,
And they're not restricted
they
to
can,
it.
yeah, they can leave, they can do what they want through the day.
Right.
If they have appointments with their counsel, whatever, they can
Right.
use your facility. They can be back for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, whatever, at specific times.
Yeah.
And then in the evening, whenever it's time to go to bed, whatever, is there a curfew? Is there any is that how you guys working that?
There would be, yes.
Okay, so there's a curfew.
Yep.
And at the curfew time, the door's gonna be locked at that particular time? How's you gonna work that?
So it would be a secure access building, so the doors would be locked. We would have, 24-hour staff all the time.
Okay.
But if someone were working or something like that, they would, ring the bell and
Okay.
they'd be on the list that they were working till 11.
Okay, so the doors be locked at a certain time. If a person comes home, so to speak, at 11:30 or something, they would ring the bell, and then the person who's at that desk right there would come open the door and let them in and go to the room.
Yes.
Got it. All right.
I have another question. If and when you talk to the neighbors, what if they're not supportive?
Well, we certainly encounter that sometimes, right? And if they're not supportive, the best way that I've been able to gain support from individuals is by asking them to come and see. So we'd like to do this, and we're going to do this certainly before the end of the year and while the warming center is open this season. So we're going to invite them to come and see how the relationships are, see how the guests are, how they behave, and that would be the hope, to get people to be supportive that aren't initially supportive.
I have one more question. Is this concept, has it been done anywhere else? And was it successful?
So this is based off of Salvation Army and Hope Rescue Mission in Reading. Hope Rescue Mission in Reading has been extremely successful. They run entirely off of private donations. Their budget is nearly 3 times what our projected budget will be. And that's without any federal funding. And they continue to expand, continue to grow. I think the oldest shelter, I know in Pennsylvania, but I think on the East Coast, I think 1878 is when they started. But we work really closely with them and when developing the program plan, and we plan to continue working with them as we grow. So they have many different departments and have a lot of years of experience that we're able to benefit from.
We also have worked with Nate Hoffer in Phoenixville about the things that they've done there, and he's also been very helpful in us understanding not only sort of how to do that, but also how to deal with some of the questions you brought up in terms of the public. Like, I think our commitment is to work through issues that people might have, legitimate concerns. How do we work through those concerns with you? It's not the same as asking permission, but we get it, and we get that there's going to be some concerns, and so we're committed to working through those things with folks, and I think Tom has been able to do that over the past 2 winters in the shelters that the warming centers that have been run.
Thank you.
You're looking to service the native indigenous Pottstonians. Where do you plan to direct the non-Pottstonians?
So we've experienced that last winter when we started making sure that people were from Pottstown. We bought a lot of bus passes, bus tickets back to where that person is from. And with our connections with Good Samaritan in Phoenixville and Hope Rescue Mission, sometimes it's as simple as making a phone call to the director or an employee over there, getting that person on a bus and sending them to that shelter. It's not always that simple. Sometimes we have to say, unfortunately, you can stay here 2 nights and you need to then leave. And that person then, hangs around for a few more days and then they end up leaving. And that's, it's pivotal that we have that collaboration with those other organizations that are outside of Pottstown, so that way we can have those relationships and work with those other organizations for that reason specifically.
You just mentioned the 2-day, if they're not from Pottstown, that they can stay 2 days. Now, if they leave, do you ever see them come back, and then does that 2 days start again?
I can honestly say no,
Okay.
no. Not if they leave.
Okay.
You mentioned.
I have a question. Can y'all hear me? I'm sorry, I'm still driving.
Go ahead,
Be
Trinita.
careful.
Okay, so you can hear me. So, no, I'm in Pottstown right now. Is there any plan for them to maybe saying wrong words, um, get back into society,
Held accountable, maybe?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
rehabilitated,
Yeah,
There you go.
yes.
get their stuff together? I don't know. I'm saying slang. Sorry. I don't know what the words. You know what I'm trying to say. Is there something that because and I guess when they go to counseling or have these, the people that help them, the professionals, will family be involved? Like, their family. I'm just curious.
Yeah, so that's the goal with everybody. And when Eric said that we've successfully gotten 20 people into stable housing, a lot of that is reconnecting them with family. A lot of times just giving somebody the opportunity to relax, to be inside and not worry about their basic needs gives them the opportunity to then take the further steps needed, like primary care, medication, drug and alcohol treatment, whatever that may be, and then they end up going back to family. They're welcomed back into their family, and of course, my goal with every individual is to never see them again unless they're coming back to volunteer. So that is the ultimate goal, to rehabilitate people back into stable society. And one of the ways that Hope Rescue Mission does that, and that we plan to do that, is to strongly encourage volunteering within the facility and then also outside in the community. Whether you're looking for work or unable to work, there is always some sort of volunteer work that can be done in the community to just bring that sense of dignity and belonging to the community back.
Absolutely. Is there, because I know when you get them rehabilitated, and you said you set them up with housing, is there affordable housing in this area? Like where do you find housing for them at? I was curious.
Well, affordable housing, I guess that depends on how much you make. HUD says that we should only spend 30% of our income on housing. So with that, most of the individuals, all that are on Social Security benefits, find it very difficult to get affordable housing.
Exactly. Yes, that's what I'm getting at.
Right.
How are you going? You know what I mean? Because it's like it's not easy.
It's not easy. And go ahead, Mark.
Well, one of the things that is, one of the services that people are eligible for are all the housing locator and support services that are available to everybody in the county. And so that brings services to them. I'm going to say that you're right, that one of the existing problems that is in Montgomery County right now is that there's a growing gap between the need for housing and the affordability of housing. And so that's hard for everybody. And that's hard for the folks that are outside wherever they are. But the shelter is still a stable place from which people can plan for that. And people do that better than finding housing straight off of the street. So it's important that people have a moment where they're safe, where they don't have to deal with, where the majority of their time is not spent on just surviving the day, so that they can get to some of these bigger questions. There's really two basic questions that we're dealing with. One is, what got you homeless? And then the second is, what's keeping you homeless? And sometimes there are things like, I need access to treatment. I need treatment. It's very hard to access treatment when you're not in a stable place. It's very hard to access treatment while you're street homeless. And so that gets easier when you have a place to be and services can come to you. We've seen that happen in terms of people just doing better because they now have access to the services and treatment that they need. Sometimes it's more economic. I need a job, and it's very hard to get and keep a job when you're street homeless. Getting to work, staying clean so that you can keep your job. Those things are all remarkably hard when you're street homeless. And so again, having a place for you to be then allows you to sort of gives you the breathing room to get to a job, get yourself economically more stable so that you can afford whatever is out there. So a shelter helps all of the things that make it hard for a person to become housed once they're street homeless. It's a very hard road back to finding housing. And so when we help stabilize most of that, then it becomes a lot easier for people to utilize the services that are in place for them.
The people that's going to be at that circular desk, is that like a 24-hour kind of job thing?
So I would like to avoid as much as possible talking about the narrow specifics, but so that part of the room, the sleeping quarters, that would only be open during the night, during the sleeping hours. And during that time, yes, people would be there monitoring, would be CCTV throughout the inside and outside of the entire building.
And I guess the people can use this facility as their mailing address.
Yes, yeah.
And then I guess when the mail comes in, somebody's going to just distribute the mail.
Yes.
Okay.
We would also follow Hope Rescue Mission's model of medication, where there's a medication room. We wouldn't have a nurse on staff to distribute the medication, but when it was medication time, that person would be required to come and take their own medication out of that safe room.
And I see these outdoor shelters.
Yes.
Are those for like families, or what are those for?
So those would be for individuals who have completed the program plan and are merely waiting on housing. And whether that be locating housing, waiting for some sort of subsidy or something like that, but they have completed and graduated the program and now are just waiting for housing, and would be volunteering several hours in the shelter, as well as working or making their own income and just waiting for housing.
Okay.
And that's really, and that's the model that we could then take. You know, once we prove viability there, then we go to Limerick and say, look, you guys have 7 homeless people in Limerick. You need 4 of these pallet shelters, they're called. You know, and this is how it works. We can help you set it up. If you wait another 5 years, you're probably, then, you know, we can pull data and you're gonna have 15 or 25 homeless, right, individuals.
Yeah, the one thing that hit me when I saw that was, well, first, the one plan shows, I think, 13, and then this shows 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So again, these are conceptual, and everything is up to whatever we need to do.
Okay, so that's,
yeah.
okay. And just a practical thing just hit me. How are they gonna use the bathroom? You have to walk into the building to use the bathroom?
Yes.
And what's in the winter time? They gotta, you know, walk into the building to use the bathroom?
Yes.
Okay. Great. All right, thank you.
I had one. The Bach House in Berks County, it's now defunct at this point, but on a smaller scale, it had tried to do a similar project. It wanted to create transitory housing for homeless families. And so they bought a multi-unit house, and families were supposed to move in for 6 to 9 months, and they were going to partner with other organizations to provide services, you know, to try to get them from homeless, you know, to a home or more stable housing. What ended up happening is the families didn't move on. And so at the time when the Bach House went under, I think the families had been in there for 5 or 6 years at the time. So based off, you know, your concept or what you've seen work in other places, I guess, what have you seen to sort of have success at that transitory stage so that people sort of don't come in and stay there that whole time? I guess, what do you see as the key to that success?
So actually, one Tuesday during Street Medicine, Mark and I together coined this phrase of aggressive care facilitation. So not letting complacency happen, and not letting things get stagnant, making sure someone has continued moving forward in their recovery, in their stabilization. And again, that looks so different depending on what the individual needs, but really just, working with the individual and with everything that's available to make sure that they aren't stuck.
I don't know much about that situation and why it might have stagnated. I don't know what services came in or how aggressive those services were in meeting people's needs. I think 2 winters of running a winter warming center has given us sort of a lot of experience on who do we need to get connected, who are the people who are responsive, what services are responsive to the needs of the people that are our guests. And so I think our commitment is to continuing doing the things that we're learning are effective with the people who are doing them.
Yeah, I mean, we're blessed in Pottstown to have a ton of organizations and service providers that are ready to join with us and come provide services here at the facility. It not only helps the individual, but it helps them as an organization to continue to provide the services that they're billing hours for, that they're getting funding for, that they're to have an impact in their role in the community.
You mentioned earlier, Phoenixville has a successful operation right now, and that's it's over in Chester County. And you also said you did your due diligence in North and East Coventry, and they objected. What were their objections?
We would have to go back and get.
If Chester County is supporting the operation in Phoenixville,
For Chester County residents.
Yeah, why wouldn't they do so in?
For Montgomery County residents?
No, just in North Coventry.
Because
They could, but they couldn't help Pottstown Borough residents. That's what we're proposing.
So they could the residents could transfer their pseudo address. I mean, they have no residents now.
Well,
They have established services and service providers and insurance that pays for those services. Those things are established for most of the people that we see. And so even in terms of like Social Security, like there's a lot of things that you have to change to go across the county line to receive services. And so when our street outreach team, I also work for Access Services, and they run the homeless street outreach team for Montgomery County. When we have people coming in, we check where your insurance is from. And if you are coming into this county, we have very little that we can refer you to in terms of service resources because you are out of county. And so we get people back to the county that they are coming from, even though they don't have a street address that says, I am a resident of this exact location, the street location. I am a resident of this county, and those services do not come across county lines.
and overall, I don't think it would benefit Pottstown if we put a shelter in North Coventry. That would benefit North Coventry and Chester County.
Okay, but under your guidelines, you could open up in Limerick or Linfield or any other Montgomery County municipality.
Going back to what I said earlier about the people being offered beds in Norristown and about 20 to 30% of them taking that offer, and 70 to 80% of them choosing to stay outside in Pottstown because that's where they have connections.
People who experience homelessness have very similar ties to their community that the rest of us have. And so, what we've experienced over the last 2 winters suggests that. That's also reflected in a lot of the experience nationally. So Pittsburgh did a really big thing where they created some shelter space on the other side of the city, and people didn't go, or they went and they came back right away because they weren't in a space where their connections were. There's a gentleman in the borough in a car who turned down the offer to go to Horsham because he said, I don't know anybody there. My supports are here, and he names them out. They're informal supports, but they're the people who know him and know when he's not there, know when he's not feeling well. He's connected to this community. And so when people are given an opportunity to be somewhere that disconnects them from the community, they just don't take it.
In the past, there used to be a homeless shelter in Norristown and other Montgomery County areas that closed. Why?
So the CHOC shelter, the Coordinated Housing Outreach Center, is the one that you're referring to. The property that the CHOC was on, it was state-owned property. That property was conveyed back to Norristown as a borough. And so Norristown said, we're not interested in continuing this lease. And so the lease was up. The folks who were running the CHOC knew this and searched for a place to put a shelter and were having a hard time finding a place where they could do that. And so they're in the process of moving forward on a property that they've identified. They're going through their zoning process to procure and open a site. It's just that it's taking longer than they had originally hoped it would take. And so in that limbo time, they had to close the CHOC because the state didn't own the land and couldn't extend the lease, and the borough of Norristown said it would not.
Which means that since May of this year to now, to current, every night, there is not a single place for a homeless adult individual to stay in Montgomery County, or families. Family waiting list, there are about 27 family rooms in all of Montgomery County.
Family
11
units,
of them are here at the Salvation Army. The remainder are in Norristown Salvation Army, and that waiting list for families, meaning adults with children under 18 years old, is around 60.
70 today. So
60 was a month ago.
A year ago, at this time, there were 15 families. In addition to the ones in shelter, there were 15 families that were street homeless. Right now, that number is at 70. So this issue is at crisis level. It's exploding.
I can actually attest to that because we can't find the 8 displaced families housing in Montgomery County. It's that short.
Anyone else?
So if there aren't any more questions, so just to bring this full circle, what we are here for is essentially to ask for your support. We understand you can't support the conditional use. You can't take a position on that because you're the judges in that case. We also understand you won't take a position on the challenge. Again, we're challenging your ordinance, and I don't think you'll take a position to support us on that. So what we are asking for is your support for either or both the special exception and variance for the rooming house or the straight variance for the homeless shelter. We think this is an opportunity for you to help your community and support us. If you won't support us, we'd ask that you at least stay neutral and allow us to have our day in front of the zoning hearing board. And we thank you for your time this evening.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Hobie, would you explain what action might take place Monday evening?
Certainly. Following tonight's meeting, council will have an executive session to discuss this. It is a matter of litigation, given the zoning hearing board proceedings. This will be listed for action on Monday night, just as any other zoning application is typically listed for you. So that time you'll have the option to, take no position. You can take a position in favor of the application, or you can take a position in opposition of the application. Whether it's support for the application or opposition, you'll have a variety of options available to you, which we'll talk about in more detail in executive session, ranging from, authorizing our office to appear at the hearing and participate, to sending a letter or other methods to sort of express your position on the application.
Would it be possible for me to ask one more question? Will there be laundry service?
Yes.
Thank you.
Laundry and showers, and handicap accessible rooms and facilities as well.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you again.
Next, we're going to look at the 2021 Borough Audit. Our Finance Director. Ms. Boone?
Good evening. Manley conducted our 2021 audit, which resulted in 0 audit findings. In their opinion, the financial statements were presented fairly in all material respects. The financial position and cash flows for the year ended in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles.
Very good.
Wait, has that been, I'm sorry, has that been the first time that this has happened?
No.
Because I was going to say, good job, Marlene, because that's the first time I heard it.
She's good.
Yeah.
Yes, she is.
And your team.
Yes.
She's up for the next.
Oh, you're also up. The resolution, we need one for the non-uniform pension.
So I will address both the non-uniform and the police pension.
Okay.
Act 205 requires the borough to submit a 2023 budget for pension plans to the governing body by the end of September. So before you have the data provided by the actuary for the MMO or the minimum municipal obligation for both the non-uniform and police pensions. The data was calculated using 2022 total gross payroll and the January 1st of 2021 actuarial report. Based on that information, the 2023 non-uniform MMO is $913,773. It was a net change of a decrease of $1,621 from last year. And for the police, the MMO is $1,730,677, which was an increase of about $98,000 from last year.
Okay. And for the police, you got that? How about, let me see. Oh, no, that's it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now for the trees.
All right, I'll take this one.
Good.
So.
You grab the easy ones.
Yeah, I know. So origination of this request came through the Planning Commission, and it was sent to the Ordinance Review Committee, but actually an ordinance amendment isn't needed for this kind of change. It can be done by a simple resolution. This has to do with the inundation of the emerald ash borer in the region over the past several years. And we are recommending, and the Planning Commission is recommending, that ash trees be removed from the borough's approved list of trees, until which time the disease possibly recedes or a more resistant species of ash are cultivated. The ash borer has already devastated scores of ash trees throughout our area. They cause the trees to rapidly weaken and die before eventually falling over and becoming a safety hazard. At this time, there are treatments available, but costs are duly prohibitive when applied on a large scale. Just as a reminder, this change would only apply to newly planted trees that are required in the borough and would not impact requirements for existing trees.
Okay. That's the resolution. Okay, how about Oak Street, the right-of-way?
All right, so over a decade ago, Borough Council at the time attempted to acquire land for the extension of Oak Street between Franklin Street and Washington Streets. Since then, the borough has incurred staff time, cost for insurance, costs for lawn service and snow removal on an approximately 23 by 140 foot strip of land adjacent to 433 Washington Street, which was subject to the acquisition for the right-of-way. It's been determined that the land for this roadway extension is no longer needed, and given the small size of the lot, borough ordinances would essentially render the lot undevelopable, and we're recommending conveyance of the property to the adjacent property owner through a quitclaim deed. The property owner has indicated that they would be willing to take over the property. They would put up a fence and maintain it in its current state for the foreseeable future. The owner would also pay attorney's costs not to exceed $750. This, conveying this property would alleviate the borough of the time and expense incurred to maintain the property. And the borough also has the benefit of having the property back on the tax rolls. Quitclaim deed is in collaboration with May Street Development Corporation, which was one of the previous owners of the land. We're listing both the borough and May Street Development Corporation as parties to the quitclaim deed, since there's a question of which entity actually owns the land due to a recording discrepancy at Montgomery County. May Street Development Corp has indicated that they are in agreement with this approach as well.
Good.
So if there are any questions, you can take those down.
Right. We'll move forward on that. 15 is Montgomery County Community College North Hall.
Yes, this is related to a land development application filed by the college. It's part of a green project. The college is seeking to remove the existing parking lot at the North Hall building and plan to install a lawn/open space area, a pavilion, landscaping, pedestrian pathway, and replace the retaining wall on Manatawny Creek. The Planning Commission has reviewed this plan. They have recommended preliminary final approval, conditional preliminary final approval, as well as the grant of certain waivers. Representatives from the college will be here Monday evening to answer any questions, and we'll prepare an appropriate motion to address the preliminary final approval and the waivers.
Very good.
I don't know if I missed anything from the Planning Commission?
No.
Okay.
No, we're in favor of it. Any questions on this? And we'll take action on that Monday evening. Okay, 16 is a solid waste bid award.
Yes.
Mr. Keller.
Thank you. So the bid results are in for trash recycling and yard waste hauling and disposal services. The borough received one bidder, JP Mascara, for these services. Their bids were approximately 40% higher than our current contract for both the 3-year and the 5-year options. Fortunately, we have an option to extend our existing contract with JP Mascaro for 2 1-year extensions. First year extension is approximately 6.73% higher than the current 3-year contract that we have now. Therefore, we're recommending extending the current contract by additional year as the most cost-effective approach. We would have the option to extend again in 2024 at the conclusion of the first year extension. We expect that residential trash bills would go up corresponding amounts, and we'll have those numbers on Monday.
Very good.
For a little bit of background, we wanted to put this bid out at this time to make sure we're getting the best prices for service and to see if there are any other interested haulers that we could fall back on, that we could use in the borough. However, we knew that we had an extension to fall back on under the original contract if we were not satisfied with the bid, and that's what we're electing to do.
So we only have one bid,
Correct,
JP Mascara. That's it.
correct.
One bidder. Yeah.
And they're letting us extend it. They're letting us extend the contract.
No, they're not letting.
It's
We've
our
had
right to
that
extend the
option.
contract.
Mr. President.
Sir.
Sam Augustine, Director of Sales at JP Mascaro and Sons. We've appreciated serving this borough for many years. We've had your contract now for probably the last 12 years. We've provided excellent service over the last 3 years, and economic times have really changed. But I'm a man of my word, and I want you to be, council, I want you to be persons of your word. 3 years ago, I was here at this meeting, and I remember quite clearly there were service problems at that time. And this council elected to take a 3-year bid. If you go back to the minutes 3 years ago, and we will research these minutes, if you go back to your minutes 3 years ago, this council took a 3-year bid. They did not take any extensions at the time. They said, we're only going to award this bid for 3 years. We want this company to make sure they're giving us the service we expect, okay? I remember that evening quite clearly. And when this bid came out, okay, there was no doubt in my mind, I'm not sure about the managers, but there was no doubt in my mind at that time that this borough took a 3-year bid. We have been getting increases on our bids right now of 100%, not 40%, 100%. And the bid we've put in front of this borough for the next 5 years that you can elect to take with one bidder, okay, is an excellent bid for this borough over the next 5 years. So I would urge you, okay, before taking this step, to check those minutes from 3 years ago, because you took a 3-year bid with no options, okay? It was clearly stated that night. So you have a 5-year bid in front of you, okay? And it's an excellent bid for 5 years. It's $40, basically $40 a unit for trash, recycling, yard waste. Of course, the toters that you have are the service for the toters is included. It includes and when I say $40, that includes the tonnage for the trash going to the landfill based on your average tonnage that you generate. And it's also, the recycling has vastly changed since the last contract. Now recycling is a lot more expensive to process, okay? So for $40, okay? And we've looked at our Souderton Borough. Souderton Borough, we've had 5 contracts in the last 2 months that are higher than that $40 for Pottstown. And that's going out for 5 years. I would urge, again, look at those minutes from 3 years ago, and then,
Mr. Augustine, I'm sorry, but with all due respect,
yes.
we would never award an extension at the beginning of a contract.
No,
It's an
no.
optional, I'm sorry, it's an optional extension, and we have the option to award that at the end of the 3 years. Otherwise, we would have awarded you a 5-year contract, which was our other option at that time.
No.
And you put a number in for the extension, and you bid on it. And now I would like you to be a man of your word.
Check the
And
minutes.
extend
Please-
the contract.
Please check the minutes from
We
3
will.
years ago, okay? Please
We
check
will.
those minutes and consider this bid, because in 2 years, your price is going, but check the minutes. Check those.
We'll look
minutes.
into it. We'll look,
Okay.
we'll double
will.
check, but we're pretty certain.
Yeah, and what's gonna happen in 2 years?
Oh, the prices are going up exponentially, okay? So this increase of 40%, we've had increases of 100% on contracts, okay? That's a fact, okay? We've had increases of 100%. Lower Providence, of course, that's 2 times a week, but there's other cases with 1 time a week where the prices are over $50 now, okay? But please check the minutes from 3 years ago.
Will do.
Okay? And I'm not trying to be adversarial. I just like you to check those minutes from 3 years ago.
Understood.
Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I'll ask staff to check the contracts and the minutes.
We have, and we will check
Okay.
them again.
Okay, all right. And then we'll take action on that Monday evening.
Painting.
Where are we? Solid waste, street painting. We have bids on that?
Yes, this again, we have one bidder, Traffic Safety Signs Incorporated. We'll have our solicitor review the bid for completeness and have a recommendation on Monday night for an award of a contract based on the unit prices provided.
Okay. 16, the Victory Christian, they've withdrawn their request to close the street.
That's correct.
Okay, 19 is Toss Your Turkey. They're asking for a street closure for November 24th.
Yes, and this will be Keystone Boulevard and College Drive south to Hanover Street at
Okay.
8 a.m.
Great. And 20 is the Parks and Rec 5K on January 1st.
And this is
I have a
similar.
question, I'm sorry, about 19. Dan, will you be running that?
Toss your turkey.
Yeah.
You're gonna,
She's asking you, not me.
I was
Me?
asking if you would be running that. I just wanted to know if Borough was participating in the 5K.
I won't be running.
You don't want to toss your turkey?
Nope.
Okay.
I don't even like turkey. Okay, Parks and Rec for January 1st, they're closing what?
Keystone Boulevard to College Drive from 11 to 1:30.
Okay. And we'll pass that Monday night. It's time for comments from our citizens.
Thank you. All right, first is Ralph Bainbridge.
No.
We bored. We
Next.
bored him.
Oh.
And just as a reminder, our public comment policy is 3 minutes, and we do not respond here tonight at the meeting, but we'll get back to you.
My name is Ralph Bainbridge. I've, a number of years ago, back when I was a lot younger, coached Little League ball for 10 years. Sean Robinson, S-H-A-W-N, was one of my little leaguers. He was the same age as my youngest son. He was murdered in his hometown in cold blood. I'm a little upset. It happened on my 74th birthday. I need to meet the young man that blew my little leaguer away. Now, on another note, I've lived in this town since Halloween, 1976. You remember my coaching days, sir?
Mm-hmm.
Very well, I think. I parted the Red Sea because I got tired of a full face. I also drove, and still have it, no, that's not my license, that's my VA ID. I'm one of them too. USMC.
Hoorah.
Semper Fi.
That's it.
Don't start me. Don't wind me up.
Okay.
I'll annihilate them. Sir. Anyway, long story short, many moons ago, two young gentlemen and a lawyer, bing, bang, and he was here, the lawyer. I don't have any degree. I graduated from Springford as a Golden Ram, 1965, 17 years old. Today, not so much, a lot more. And I remember in the day, actually I think it was, let me think, June maybe of 2006, I presented a check to Alan, and I'm going to butcher the name, Allstuck or something like that. He happened to have been, because he passed, the, what I'm going to call ringleader of Pottstown cluster of churches.
30 seconds, sir.
Pardon?
You have 30 seconds left.
Okay. Well, my point is, I'd like to do another bike show in town without a lot of political hoboing. Okay? When are we going to do it? This year or next year? No political hee-haw. The car show goes every first Saturday from May to September. Why not October? There's not enough time to pull off a bike show in October. How about we start in April of next year, every second Saturday, and see how many strangers come into town?
That's your time, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Lee Clark.
So I didn't want to do this during my economic, but PAID's board has been watching, of course, Beacon of Hope and speaking to them, and we thought it was important for us to have a statement tonight because of the effects that we know the business community is affected by, and the business community has come. So PAID realizes the importance of a housing solution to address the increasing challenges of homelessness within the borough. Although we realize the issues of permitting the establishment of a homeless shelter within the boundaries of the borough, we certainly find the proposed site more appropriate than the previously suggested location on Charlotte Street. In addition, we are encouraged to see the work done by Beacon of Hope along with the task force to coordinate services without duplication. And that's paid state.
Okay. Anyone else?
That concludes citizen comment.
That's it?
Can we get a copy of that statement she's made?
Yeah.
Okay, we will have the councilors' general discussion, and I want to announce we will be having an executive session discussing litigation. So, councilors, Councilor Kirkland?
Nothing, thank you.
Nothing? Councilor Lindsay?
I have nothing.
Okay.
No shock? Y'all not shocked?
Councilor Lebedinsky? Councilor Banning?
I'm going to be the only one that's got something? All right. Well, Mayor talked about the block party that the Johnsons threw, which was wonderful. I'd like to thank the Go Forth Committee for throwing a thank you party for their volunteers. That was super nice. And Mayor also mentioned the Challenger Learning Center over at the college. It's amazing. I wish I had something like that when I was a kid. My whole life could have been different. I am thrilled that it's here. And I went that Friday, and then I went again on, I think it was Saturday. And I was like a little kid. They let me look through a telescope at the sun. Like, I saw the sun. It was magnificent. Also, if you haven't gotten your white yet for Friday, you should stop in Once Upon a Time. I bought 2 dresses. That's all I have.
Okay. Councilor Proskauer?
Athena and I went there as well. Actually worked out really well. I thought I had to get something on Amazon, but actually
They
I
have
had something
amazing
better.
stuff.
And it was, yeah, actually less expensive. But, yeah, the car shows were, obviously a lot of fun. Actually, I had to run an errand. It was really, I almost forgot about it because all these Volkswagen hatchbacks all souped up were coming out of all different, roads. It's like, oh, that's right, of course, the car show. But, I met some friends from drinks down there. It was, a really good time. And, we recently got a puppy in the last 4 months or so. It's a lot of fun to start walking the streets again at night like I used to with my other dog. And it's actually there's been a lot of improvements, especially on the the more eastern part of the First Ward, more lights and cameras, and there's a few things to work on as well. But it's nice to get out and see if things were going on at night.
Okay. Mayor Henry?
I just wanted to add to my, the event that is, the healing event, tomorrow at 6 p.m. I forgot to, include it's, being led by the NAACP in conjunction with the county. That's it.
Okay, I don't. I too was at the Challenger ribbon cutting, took the tour. It is phenomenal. If anybody and everybody gets a chance to go over and see that, I agree with you, Lisa. I wish I had it when I was in 5th grade. I may have gone to the moon by now. That's a wonderful thing. This past weekend, the 2 car shows, Saturday and Sunday back to back. Wow, it was great. I have nothing more at this time, except to remind you, we are going into executive session. The reason is to discuss litigation, and we will be taking no action. So we'll see you Monday evening. Meeting adjourned.